Good afternoon. Welcome. Come and chillax, relax. I've switched off. I've done quite a lot today. I can go at my own speed when I want, how I want, but I've just decided not to keep going. Good afternoon. Are you going to introduce yourself? Are you going to have a chat with me before we start our topic today? Smooth vibes, high times, amazing vibration, resonating in the flow, growing, not knowing. That's the beauty of life. Knowing that I know nothing. Trying to be as authentic as I can, Sat Nam, in my truest form and formless in my identity, the divinity and love. And just to say to friends and followers, thank you for your love, support, likes, and your interactions. I appreciate you. And even for anything that's negative. Why? Because in psychology, I like to study people. I like to study body language. Same as words, the etymology of the word, the meaning of the word, and the context in which you say something. Hold a moment in the breath. I welcome you. Come and join in. You never know, you might learn something. I learn something every single day. That's interesting. You've joined through an invite or a link. Okay. So if anybody wants to share anything, most welcome. Talk about most topics, whether you want to talk about faith, religion, science, politics, economics. I just don't really agree with hate speech and discrimination. As I said, it really is a reflection of who you are and your own life. People that have to go around intimidating, bullying, or trying to control a situation. I don't know why people choose to do it when you should have learned in the playground, but sometimes you need to be reminded, unfortunately. As I say, what you value is up to you. But I choose to value myself and respect myself, and I respect the people that respect me. And that's what loyalty is. Those that trust me know me. Not because I have to explain myself. I'm unexplainable. I can't be defined, only refined. Rub me in the wrong way or the rawest truth, I'll always shine. I always can turn a dark time into something positive because I'm prepared to learn, I'm not prepared to blame. I'm prepared to sit and evaluate. And I like to bring sessions every single time I'm on my live stream to help myself. It's not just about helping my audience, but if I help one person, it's the same in a treatment. If you go out of your treatment, which I would say in the nearly 20 years that I've been doing massage, I really have had very little complaints ever about my actual technique or my massage or anything. But I'm accounting for people of this day of age that, some people have a sense of what they think is right or what they think a rule is. So my topic today is about morals versus rules. Moral versus rule. So I'm quite excited to get back in the saddle, as I said yesterday, back into my massage. I'm just on the final leg of sorting everything out. So, yeah. I've just done some brand new offers, so I will be putting them online. I could do it now, but I'll do it in the next few days. They're all ready, the marketing and the adverts and everything. But I've got some opening offers for new and existing clients. Obviously, I will be contacting the existing clients by the end of the week on email because I have your information. And as we know, with Data Protection Act, just like I am, I'm not a secret person, but I like to keep people's privacy. It's the same if I do a treatment from you and then you do speak to me. I wouldn't say that I'm a trade coach or therapist, but we have to, from a massage therapist perspective, we do have to have an element of empathy and listening, because people come in from all walks of life, sets of traumas and sorrows and pains. That natural healer within me doesn't want to help you, just, will invite a sacred space for open hearts, change times. That's how life is. So I've just, like I said last night, I've just printed everything, making sure that everything's all right. I've done some new web pages and finally ordering some more stuff this morning. It's like, oh my, okay. Because I wanted all my clients to have new towels, new theme, new colour, new aesthetics. So the locations that I'll be working at is in the city centre and over at Hillsborough. So I chose them because they're quite a quick commute. So I can get backwards and forwards. So we're just fine testing, because I wanted to make sure, because the booking system is a CRM, it's not a off-the-shelf type booking system, because obviously before, years ago, I used to use Mindbody Online, but this is one that I use with our programmers and engineers. So I've then asked them, with their Python and their years of experience in engineering, can they actually get the CRM to have 3 locations that you can actually choose. Hello, thank you for your follow. If you want to introduce yourself, Radio Bossy, bless you. You're most welcome. Thank you for following me. I bring up, if you want to continue in this live stream, in my live streams, I like to bring up mindfulness, meditation, and stoic type topics. That's really the whole premise and the genre of what I am. But I've been an active conscious meditator for over 20 years. I am a natural clairvoyant, but I don't really do readings anymore. I keep myself to myself most of the time, but if I do, when people get to know me, even online, if I do feel intuitive or they ask, or they say, if I feel that I have something, then I'll give it. So yeah, today's topic is morals versus rules. And then last night, very late last night, I've got they haven't become a client yet, but last year I spoke to them, had a meeting about redoing their website. Actually, they wanted their website redoing, and to be fair, their website was pretty naff. I know when I'm looking at a sitemap and looking at a map of a website, whether it's actually doing its job. As I say, a website is your brochure or your book. And Google or any search engine, it's the same with TikTok, it's the same with any algorithm AI search engine now. Your book, your brochure, your information has to come out on the shelf. If someone is looking for it, that they can find it. So, I made a few suggestions to them last year, and obviously they didn't come on board. But last night they were saying, oh, can you change my phone number on my website? And I said, well, have you got the login? And they were like, no. And I said, well, no one can change anything then. I said, so who did your website? I said, I've always known over the years, as I got trained in websites by a web engineer 20 years ago, really, web engineers should give you the FTP codes and the access information, as well as all the logins, because you've paid for it. So that if, what if that web developer isn't available? But most web developers now don't want to touch other people's work, because coding and viruses and lack of backups and websites not being maintained fully. You know, you need your website to be updated on a regular basis, not just sitting there. So that was a late one last night, and then I just said to him, "Come back to me." And I says, "If you really can't find it, you can't find the login, and you can't get the details, let me know." I says, "Then unfortunately, this worst case scenario is a brand new site." So I can help clients out for things like that. It's not really my passion, but I like to keep in all things digital marketing, and have done ever since when I first came online, some 25 years ago now. So it gives me the compass and point to know roughly, how a website functions, and also if I need to do something, and my creative ability. Sometimes I come up with new creative ideas, especially when I've sat down in consultation with other businesses, to get to know you, find out what it is that you wanted to do, how you're functioning, so that from an administrator, because that's my original training as a mortgage underwriter was administration, is when you're setting up a company, running a company and operating it, or whether you're shutting it, is making sure that the process and flow is right. And that if I was handing the torch or handing the process over to another member of staff or somebody else, that they would be able to follow the process very, very easily. So enough about me today on my catch up. I hope that everybody out there is feeling good, feeling peaceful, because there's a lot of reverberations going off out there in consciousness. We cannot mistake or miss or deny that there's some very evil humans, and there's people's agendas playing out. But one thing I can say to you in your sacred heart is that your home should be your place of peace. That should be your place of rest. So, morals rise from within. I would say I've got quite a high moral sort of side to me. Sometimes it's quite funny. A few years ago, my actual sister said to me, I have got a brother and sister, by the way, everyone. But my sister actually said to me, why do when people first meet us, before we open our mouth, or when we just introduce ourselves without actually going into, hello, good afternoon, Ian, why do people think we're stuck up? And I said, it's because you've got the posh accent. I says, whereas I've got the dual one now. I haven't just got the southern accent. Rather. I says, I've got self-Yorkshire as well. But I generally am not. I might have morals and integrity, but I am a fun-loving character, really. So good afternoon, Ian. Welcome, join in. If you've got any comments that you want to share with us as I'm going through this. The topic today, to catch you up, is morals versus rules. I was saying, I've just come on a little bit earlier because I did start early this morning. I just thought, sod it, get up, get ready, do a bit of exercise, meditation, have a breakfast. And by the time it was 8 o'clock, I'd already done the task that I thought was going to take me an hour. So by the time 10 o'clock had come, I'd already done the equivalent to what somebody would say is about 4 hours work. So morals rise from within. They're born from conscience. Empathy, integrity, the invisible compass pointing you towards what feels just and right. Even when no one is watching. Is that a question mark at the end? Is that a question mark at the end, Ian? Because you're saying something took you away from that question mark. I would say that over the years, with being around people and some shady characters, my morals stood up in money and finance. So I'm grateful for that. And it will still continue. I've still got the integrity, whether it's with money or with business or finance. Go girl, go girl. Thank you. I'm simply amazing. I don't try to be. I can be a nightmare. It's just eyeliner. I haven't really done anything today. Sometimes, for many, many years, I used to walk around with no makeup, but unless if I'm going out in the dark, full black eye makeup. I'm going to go and get some black lipstick soon because I do like my goth look. I'm not a full goth, everybody, but yeah. I teeter between hippie, bohemian, and goth. that's sort of my style. I like to don the comfy trousers and the comfy tops as well as wear the dress and wear the high heels. Well, I don't know if you want to share, Ian, what your ill-gotten gains were, but I worked in financial services, so I've seen in the past what people can do and how people behave morally over money. And the reason for that, Ian, is myself and my ex-partner used to make a lot of people a lot of money. Not just in Sheffield, but people used to come from London and various other countries because in finance, we could sort shit out. Whether it would be a complicated mortgage to a buy to let, I was trained in right to buys. But from a mortgage administration perspective and our relationships with the banks, if something was a bit, it didn't quite meet, so to speak, we'd be able to turn something around because I'd be able to get the right information or statements to back up my supporting claim on the evidence. Oh, you was in logistics. I was saying today that in the system that I've just asked the guys, please, can they do this? I says, it's a logistic nightmare. I need it sorting. Otherwise, I've got to do part of it manually. I says, which I don't mind. I says, but yeah, all things internet, it should be all things done. Rock and roll, baby. Or as my son say, it's all gravy. All gravy. As I say, your actions and behaviour is when no one is watching. Rules, on the other hand, are scaffolds built by society, law, religion and institution, external frameworks meant to keep order and conformity. Hello, Rosie. Peace and blessings to you, sweetheart. Have you had an amazing night? I was dancing last night because I really felt very bored what was on the TV and I couldn't keep crocheting. So we had some little exercise. And I'm happy because everything's gone off to print. I've ordered everything today, finally. I've shopped the internet, shopped local, and then decided, right, I picked all the towels today, bought everything. You soon realise it soon backs up, doesn't it? When you're buying for a room again and get yourself all the stuff. Did you like it? My feedback, that's why I said the mistake wasn't about me doing a mistake. Even if I do make a mistake, I do take accountability, everybody. I'm not scared to say to somebody, oh, I apologise. You know what I mean? I fucked up. I fucked up. It's not a problem. But no, as soon as I tried it on, right, I tried it on with no slip underneath, which I could have got away with it, you know what I mean? But I thought, for a day dress, I don't really want to go out with little peepholes. You know what I mean? I'm not 30 anymore. I could probably get away with it. But especially looking at my love handles and my stretch marks. Everything's like, I'm okay with it. But anyway, the chest was the measurement said 15 rows. So I did exactly as the pattern said, 15 rows, from the top to the bottom. But it was a little bit gaping, darling. For most women, that might be acceptable, especially if you've got big bristicles. It would have, sit very poised, I thought, with the bra, and it looked, quite okay. But for me, I thought, definitely put the slip on. And then I noticed that I hadn't done the hem as long as I should have, even though I kept measuring it, thinking, because the skirt wasn't meant to be that long. It's meant to be above your knee. I put it below the knee. So I might make another one. I might make about 5 in different colours. oh, listen. Ian, a few years ago, right, after having my second son, I trained a lot before my first. I was a very big girl when I was younger, believe it or not. I was actually a size 14, 16. From the age of 16 to 24, I was a size 14. I was athletic, dancing all the time. So from a size perspective, But when I had my first, I went down to a size 10 before I got pregnant. But in my second, I let myself go. I just didn't bother. And what I said was afterwards, when I didn't do any fitness or anything after giving birth, I paid for it because I just kept eating and eating and eating. So I just said, it's all right, I deserve it, but I did pay for it. Do you like that belt? That belt's old. It's very, very old. I need to buy some more belts, but I don't always go belt shopping. So I would debate it, thinking, right, I'll pick the scarves, because I've got, quite a few scarves. So I thought, right, I'll pick the scarf to hide the bisticles as I went out. But I went in the city. And then I tried different jackets on what I was going to wear with it. And then I thought, no, I might start sweating. And then when I was in the town, oh my, I had the most shocking sweat while I was in the store. Because if you look at one of the photos, you can see I was sweating. Like, it was one of my sweat ups in the picture. But I was right in the middle of the store, and I thought I could just do a sit down. And I could see this woman looking at me as if to say, are you all right? I was thinking, oh no, I could do a tissue. Yeah, and it was they were creeping up here. And I thought, I need a fan. So thank you, babes. But I'm on to the next project, which I only just oh shit, what was I doing with a crochet hook? I don't know what I'm doing with a crochet hook, but I'm making like doilies, but they're going on the wall with crystals. I bought the crystals. I have crystals up. They're going on a hoop, and I'm going to buy different crystals, feathers, and make different ones to go around the flat. So rather than dream catchers, they're a different version. They're straight and they like tapestries, but they just sit on the wall. So I'm gonna make a few of those before I go back to the dresses and jumpers and make some hats again. I like hats, everybody, as well. I like to wear caps and, well, any type of hat I like to wear. But I went out absolutely fabulous a few years ago because I like to do fancy dress as well, Rosie. Sometimes I haven't done fancy dress in a while, but I used to years ago. Go obviously in business, you imagine. Sometimes I used to go around Sheffield so nobody knew me. Go and put a morph suit on and go fuck off around town. Like, hey, morph person, walking into little bars and places. Oh, Batwoman, Catwoman. I was regularly Catwoman. But I don't scratch. I don't bite. So this top's really for treatments because I didn't know whether to go and get a tracksuit, but I thought I just want some comfy bottoms and obviously a top to massage in. So a camel light brown suede jacket into. Are you getting one? I like suede. I used to have a nice black suede coat. I've had a Gestapo coat, a leather one, like a Nazi coat, double-breasted leather. I had that handmade years ago. Don't know where that went. I just lost that somewhere. Oh, with the dress. I've actually got a caramel leather biker jacket. I can't remember the make of it. That's about 30 years old. £500 jacket. But I didn't put it on because I kept looking at the weather. That's why I was like, oh, maybe I'll put a cardigan on. But I have. That's a nice jacket, but yeah. That's why I said years ago, even if when I did earn the money, I used to stand there thinking, oh, I don't know whether I can buy that. But I have. I've paid £500 for shoes, £2,000 for coats. Right. Now I'm happy as long as it looks fine. I don't care where it is at a shop. Hello. We're amazing. Amazing. I'll make you one, Mosey. I am going to send you something at some point with your address. When I make a terrarium, I'm going to make some terrarium. I'm buying all the kit at the moment. That's why I said I don't really have to work. I was saying to my friend, if I didn't push myself, that's why I said it ahead of time, because I normally wouldn't. I would have just set up and got started, because I don't tell people when I'm doing things. But I thought I needed to put myself under a bit of pressure to say, yes, I am doing massage. Because I told my friend last week, walking out city, I don't have to work, so I could just bum around and do crochet and sort of read books and smoke spliffs and listen to music and go yay, yay, yay all day. I mean, but I thought, nah, I'll go back to doing massage. Make people feel good. Thank you. Great. Trying my best. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm not scared to say it. In another year or two, I've already said it to my sons. I never really said I'd do it. Maybe I'd go for a non-facial facelift, but I am tempted in the next couple of years. If I'm still alive, you know what I mean? I just might have a facelift. Just because I've noticed it. It's literally, in the last year, here, it's been the problem, here and here. But it's estrogen loss. I've come to realise, because I thought, why is it all? It just happened really, really quick. I've just looked at the mirror and thought, well, because being 50, 50 years young, half a century. You know what I mean? Made it this far. I do embrace my age. When I had my spa, I had people that were into cosmetics and into I had a doctor that worked with me. He actually worked at Doncaster Hospital, but he had his private clinic, and he did facial reconstruction surgery. So as a surgeon in facial aesthetics, it'd been absolutely amazing, because he understands the bones, he understands the structures, and he has actually repaired people in like severe accidents, car accidents, or people have got mutilated and stuff. So he actually showed me some of his correction work, which was absolutely amazing. So that's what I did in my Medi Spa before. I didn't. Yeah, I can do. I was trained to resurfaces and peels, indemnified up to 30%. You can do them. But anything beyond 30%, it might be less now. It might be 20. I don't know. But the woman whose centre that I'm going to be going to at Hillsborough, she's an aesthetic nurse. So don't worry. I don't think I'm going to go and get some fillers or Botox. I'm not into, because Botox is botulism. Everybody, I don't want to freeze my nose. Listen, each to their own. I'm not saying I will. I'm just saying I am tempted to. You know what I mean? Just to. I'm just going to see how things go in the next sort of 12, 24 months. You can do non-surgical, which is very, can last 3 to 5 years. But why not? Appreciated. And then I once I've got all the stuff for the terrarium, it's just because I want to grow things first as well. I'm not, and then I'll send you, Rosie, because I'm buying all glass bottles and going around second-hand stores and brick and back stores just to see what sort of jars and bottles I can buy and stuff like that. I want to turn my living room, you see, more greenery, more. I'm going to put more nature. So I'm tempted to put a moss wall in, but I thought I'd best not put it attach it to the wall. So I thought, well, then I'd have to make a wall to attach the wall onto the wall with a base to put the moss on. So, I've been thinking, right, let's start attaching moss to walls. I'll be breathing a lot better anyway. Anyway, I've got 2 big plants in my bedroom anyway. So I just noticed over the last few days, I don't know about anybody else, whether it's the moon or whether it's the planetary alignments, but every single time I go to bed thinking, yeah, I'm tired now, I'll go to bed. Am I tired? I get into bed and I'm like, back up again. I feel like coming down and getting DJs, hey, get decks on. Let's go club in. I keep saying to her a lot, no, I don't want to pray at 1 o'clock in the morning. I want to go to bed. Yeah, no. Last night it was 333. When I woke up, 333. I thought, is that a sign? Oh, I best get up. God does that sometimes, though, doesn't he? It's like you are getting up, you are going to pray in the middle of the night. Oh, you're scared to sleep? That's shit. Well, listen, I wouldn't say I'm a miracle worker, Ian, but as a massage therapist, if you came to see me in an hour, it would be like having a 6-hour sleep just in an hour. That £55 might be the best value for money that you spend. Truly, I don't want to say that I'm that good, but I am that good when it comes to massage. I've had many a client say, oh, you're that good, I don't need to come back and see you technically because I feel better, but I'm still coming back. Not having enough sleep, though, is detriment. Even if we do wake up in the middle of the night, like myself, sometimes I'll get back up at 5:30, 6, but if I want to, I'll go back to bed. So I'll be back in bed till 7, 8 o'clock, whatever time in the morning I choose. I just don't like rushing. But if I have to, even when it comes to work and massage, if I really have to rush, I can do like Speedy Gonzalez. What does? I'm a bit sorry. I don't understand what I'm bricked up. You want to say? What does that mean? I'll tell you what might help you Ian, as well. Massaging, having a lavender bath, putting lavender on a pillow or like a flannel will relax you and help you unwind, especially if you're cognitive, the cogs are going all night long and you struggle with the sleep in that way. Get some lavender, I'd recommend. Come and see me for a treatment or find a therapist that's near you, somebody that you like, and then use it as your chance to have a treatment, and then you can go back home and you'll find that you're just so relaxed that you probably want to have a sleep. Everyone does with me. Even when my sons come, they come back down, they all sit on the sofa and they're conked out. Or they're like, we can't move for an hour because they're just so chilled. It's like totally blissed out. So yeah, rules on the other hand are scaffolds built by society, law, religion and institution, external frameworks meant to keep order and conformity. In a way, I do like discipline and conformity, in some of my values, even though I'm not a lazy person, but I can let things go. I have learnt to, because I have OCD a little bit. My stepdad has major OCD. My mum had major OCD, especially in cleaning. Cleaning and clothes, making your clothes in order. I'm not that orderly in clothes, but I did years ago in cleaning. I've let that go now. So, the conformity part for me is that if I didn't have faith and I didn't have religion, not to say that I would, because I believe I'm a good person, really. But I know if I didn't have that boundary, so to speak, it would be easy to give in to things if I didn't have those rules, so to speak. So if you're just catching up, the topic is moral versus rules. What goes on your skin, Ian? Lavender. Lavender oil is, there's very few oils that can go directly on the skin. I'm an aromatherapist, so, but with any skin, any lotions, any potions, anything you try, I'm a guinea pig. I test it on myself. Just put a little drop on your hand when you buy it. But normally, like in massage, I can use different oils, but we will use a standard massage oil like grapeseed because there's no allergies to it. And what you then do is you blend the essential oil in the carrier oil, because the carrier oil is, unlike creams, the reason why we don't use creams in massage is a cream will not go through the dermal matrix of the skin. So the essential oil will not absorb in. That's why when you have a oil bath or oil in your hair or oil, or you don't wash as often, you keep the oils in your skin and replenish yourself. That's why they say it's good to wash for hygiene. But when I, like years ago, I worked in the water so much. Can you imagine if I was constantly showering before getting in the pool and showering afterwards? That had to constantly be oiling, otherwise, my skin would have been really, really dry even more. So if you are sensitive to oils like that, essential oils are very, very potent, Ian. I don't think it would, Ian, and even if it did, it doesn't matter. Trust me, as a massage therapist, after massaging thousands of people, even if you got a boner and a hard-on, it wouldn't really bother me. I've only ever had one incident where somebody has inappropriately tried to go for me, because in their mind, they must have thought that they were going to rape me. Unfortunately, I tackled them and I hurt that individual and obviously called the police. But in any incident, if a man got a boner for any reason, and it doesn't really happen, I would say in the 20 years that I've done massage, it's all talk. It's all talk on here. And even Rosie will probably vouch for that, even though, have you massaged men, Rosie, in general? Or not? You see, therapists can choose whether they want to massage females only or men, or combined. It's harder for a man to do massage because obviously, women can play victimhood and, oh, you inappropriately touched me. I had a very young athletic massage therapist years ago, as well as a gold medal diver working with me in massage. And both of them got women that approached them in the massage room and said, as soon as he came out, said, Claire, we have to tell you that these women have said that we've touched them inappropriately when we haven't. So these days I wear a little secret camera. It says it on my website, CCTV. That's really to protect me from, my world is fine, but convoluted people are out there. So I have to account for it. You can't beat a good massage. I tell you, being able to massage a woman's feet, or I'll say to her, come and lay down or sit opposite each other. The ancients did it, the Egyptians did it, in the hieroglyphics. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at aromatherapy and reflexology massage of, a couple in the sacred union of their tantra and the energy. They're actually massaging each other. So you can't beat it. But trust me, in most treatments, if people have got designs over the phone or online, you probably wouldn't in a treatment. And especially I'm very soft, but can be very assertive. So I can change the tone and mannerism depending on who I'm dealing with. And because I'm a clairvoyant, invariably, because I study people, God protects me anyway. I know things ahead of time in situations. But, I just give instructions before the treatment, settle you in, make you feel comfortable. We leave the room anyway when you get changed, right? I don't care whether you can be very hard. It wouldn't bother me. So if you want to come and have a treatment, obviously you'll be able to book in. I do get a lot of inquiries every single day, but that's why I'm testing some of you men, because I think a lot of you think that you can get around the system somehow, and it's like, no, you have to book online. And the reason I do that, and I have done for over 20 years, I'm not changing my process, is one, because of value my time and money. I'm not turning up somewhere for somebody not to turn up. If you want a treatment, you value us. And the second reason is I've got your data, I've got your information. So if any hokey pokey cookie weren't about, obviously I can deal with the situation. So if anybody thinks they can get around it, they can't. Even if they do a walk, because in the city I've allowed walk-ins. Walk-ins can go in, but you still have to book it online before the treatment. So you could walk in the store, sit there, wait for me to turn up, but you'll still have to book it. What, flick the bean? No, thank you. Not, I'm a professional when I'm in a treatment. But, you know, if people want to talk about things, come down. I get people that talk about some very personal situations. Same as years ago, Ian. I used to wax people, but the backs I can crack. The hard thing. The hard thing. The hard thing. Well, you'll have to enlighten me, sorry. I'm good, but not that good. Go on. So yeah, as I said, going back to the topic, if you want to talk about, you know, I'm not going to tell you about my kinks. Anyway, my kinks are on my Choker and Chains page, Ian. If you're into erotic poetry, I'm a dark mystic. I'm into eroticism, fantasy, right? But I go and play fantasy in my own head, in my own dream world. La la la. What do you want? Do you want a meat and veg warmer? Do you? Do you want some slap and tickle? don't a bit of crumpet? Oh, flick it and it'll go down. Okay. I'll go get. Right, I'll bring a spatula to it. Right. So bring tools to work. Okay then. Well, I do. I've actually advertised it on the website for people that like tickling and scratching. So if you tell me that you do like it really severe, I have bought some horrific scratching devices. Oh, 7 inches. Okay. All right. Have you ever seen Merkins? They don't do them anymore, right? But if you want a Willy Walker, they used to do Merkins. Does anybody know what a Merkin is? Anyway, you can get them in different colours. You could get bush colour, Union Jack colour. You could get crocodile, elephants, any. A Merkin is a piece of elastic with fabric to cover our mange. Like a carpet. You can come out with your carpet on. I'm donning my carpet tonight, love. My curtains. I've got a crocodile. Oh, I like a bit of hair. I like a bit of armpit hair. Me, I don't mind hair. Like, be a beast. It's okay. All these are like it. Everything bald. Well, I don't mind bald either. But you know what I mean? Give me a good hoover. Well, you make it. You can trim it. You can bleach it. You can dye it. You know what I mean? The old Hamlet cigar. Maybe just do some designs, patterns. I don't know. Each their own. That's what I say. If you want to grow it, grow it. If you want to have it short as a bald ego, don't. Whatever floats your boat for some people. Well, technically, we need hair. Our hair is to keep us clean. Really, that's what your hair is for. You know, it's a sensation as well. It you know sends energy into the capillaries. But what do I know? I seem well educated on the matter. Well, my friend was a sexual educator. My friend did have a sex store years ago, and we used to have a giggle in there. But I still know nothing. But keep yourself sexually clean. That's me. I mean, I'm a big believer in sort of, that's why I said, and especially your spiritual lot, we're careful who we share our energy with, because unless if you've cleansed the energy from before, I'm sleeping with all your partners. If I was sleeping with you, I don't really want to sleep with everybody's partners and seeing you in astral and seeing such things in my dreams. No, thank you. No, 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 no. That's why your spiritual crew, you know what I mean? We could have a menagerie of different experiences, but we just choose not to. Anyway, this conversation, it's okay. It's fine if you still want to continue it on. So all I can say is each to their own. Each to their own. I don't know who came up with it 20 odd years ago that everybody has to shave clean, but as we know, having hair is cleaner technically. Otherwise, God wouldn't have created that way. Everything has been created for a specific reason. Rules can be followed blindly as well. People can follow rules blindly. And sometimes that's why it's good to question authority. I do. I question authority. I question things. I question the question. Sometimes when I sit in my duars, I do sit there thinking, no, maybe I shouldn't question God so much. God knows best. But why God? Morals require discernment, having a discerning heart. A rule might tell you not to steal, but moral asks, is this action aligned with myself? Or is this action aligned with compassion? Or is this action aligned with the respect for another's dignity? Well, you wouldn't be just banging on bones. the pubic bone. You're right. You have a bit of cushion, innit? You know what I mean? I suppose it's like saying that you've got a bit of memory foam mattress in there. You just brought an old memory to my mind. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say. A rule might tell you not to steal, as I said, and moral asks, is this action aligned with my compassion, the respect for another's dignity? Sometimes rules protect the weak, and other times they shackle freedom. It's the same with government, got its rules with its statutes and acts. That's what they are, the rules and regulations, everybody. They're not technically laws. So you can question, because law is equal, technically. So when anybody preaches that they're doing something that they're not doing when they should follow those statutes and acts and rules, then you can then ask them why they're not aligning and following their own rules. And how can any leader ask you to follow a rule when they're not following it themselves? They're not a leader. A leader has to follow their own rules. Sometimes rules protect the weak, as I said. And they do, for the first year I did camping. There was Sheffield City Council had no camping policy. A few other councils had camping policies. I couldn't really find one. It wasn't something even on the internet, hunting high and low. So yeah, me, Mrs. Contract Woman, because I can create contracts and make contracts, I made my own camping terms and conditions. And the main reason for doing it was asking the customers, asking the clients when they were camping in the first year, do you want an A to Z handhold process on knowing the do's and don'ts and what to do and what not to do? Yes, please. We want some rules. Okay, right. So what's the right time to be switching music off, everybody? 10, 11 o'clock. And it was things like that. So I sort of, any contract, like anything, verbal, written, has to be mutually agreeable. There's no point in going into something unless if you're completely happy about what it is that you're entering into. And if you're not sure, do your due care and diligence beforehand. Ask and ye shall receive. If you ask the right questions and exploring, then you can find the right answers. And don't feel stupid or embarrassed for doing so just because you don't know something or because you might not quite understand. Morals can transcend rules. Think of those who broke unjust laws in the name of human rights, guided by something higher than the written codes that were there. The dance between them is where the real work lies. Too much reliance on rules and you lose your humanity. Too much reliance on personal morals without accountability and you risk self-righteous chaos. Are you talking about the EU corporation? Well, that's why I voted for Brexit, because I didn't want more rules with EU rules when it was our country and our sovereignty was going down the pan with United Nations Corporation and then EU. It's more rules on top of more rules because they do it to back to front you, up to front you, so that you don't understand really and everybody thinks they know. And then it's like anything, when you put on the spot, even when I'm put on the spot, I tend to forget. But even when I'm put on the spot, like I've said to people, even with the police, with my family being ex-police, you know, I didn't know these things growing up as a child and being in military, but I have over the last few years through experience. Anything from a police corporation perspective, they're not the law. They're meant to be holding equally the law, that anything in the law is we're innocent till proven guilty, not suspected, not accused. And if they are, they have to prove it. And if otherwise, a warrant. And in any situation, you know, when they ask you to come to the station, no, you insist that they arrest you. And the reason you do that is because as a corporation, it costs them money and time, and even with the CPS, to make that claim in commerce against your title. Know thyself. Know the system. Know that your name is a trust, as we call a straw man. It's a trust. It's bonded. We've been trading, money have been extracted out of us in a fraudulent system for a long, long time. But once you execute your trust as a beneficiary through court, through police, through fines, through levies, through contracts, or anything like that, you actually understand that you're the creditor. You're the creditor in the bank. You're the creditor when you come into contract with something, because you're bringing your asset. We are the asset. That's why as a commodity in some countries, you know, they go and do what they do because the victims don't understand, you know, the rules of the game. Here, Britain is always the test bed. Always the test bed. It was the test bed with what do you call it? Menopause head. What you put in cats and dogs. They tested. England tested the microchip on cats and dogs first before humans, knowing that it wouldn't work because one, it can be hacked. Two, it could be changed. You know, and indoctrinated. So even though they promote these things, they're not cast iron guarantees because they would break their own rules within their own system. Whereas when you're sovereign and got authority and you can stand as yourself as that authority in any situation, personal or business, then you understand commerce and true law. Yep. The police are a corporation. They actually rescinded the Crown Corporation. I don't know when it was. Obviously, UK Corporation has been bankrupt quite a few times in this country so far. That's why, you know, you pay taxes by a mutual agreement contract. You agree it. But you don't have to pay taxes when your government is going to war with others. We've all had the prime opportunity through lockdown, that war. And obviously, you know, that was a genocidal plan. And it succeeded to a degree because of what they did. They coerced people by a rule, making in the Coronavirus Act, if you read it, that the person was a vessel. Well, I'm not. I'm sovereign because I know that God created me. And that's why they play the mockery with religion in a way in politics. This is why it's a very political, religious game that's going off out there at the moment, because some people don't understand the sovereignty. Once you do, I'm just with God. It doesn't matter about religion. My faith is a belief in God. My sovereignty is that God created me. I'm civilly executing as a beneficiary on the land my rights as an asset. Speak to any judge when you go in and say to them that you are the beneficiary in front of the judge. They then have to dismiss the case or walk out of the court, because the bench, the boat in front of the bar on admiral law, because that's what they're operating in commerce, then cannot put a fine, a statute, or a sentence on you because they can't prove it. That's why now John Harris, I'm not sure. I might have heard of the name. I have read a lot of things, Ian, over the last 20 years on the internet. So, years ago it was all galactics, UFOs and that type of stuff. But when it comes to a bit of history and economics and some of the stuff, it's the same in court. If I was going, like, we won a case against a traffic warden years ago, a very snotty traffic warden, and we were paying a lot of tickets anyway, but there was one incident where we then got a year permit because we're just paying a fortune outside our shops. But technically you can park outside a bank with yellow lines with an anchor. It's called a double bank, yellow line, meaning you can go outside a bank, park your car where these double anchors are, and deposit cash. Now, we got stopped by a traffic warden that tried to put a ticket outside the bank. We fought it, and she was snarling and screaming in front of the judge, but we had case law from 1800s. We pulled it up, found it, presented it in court, that any carriage, any transportation, marked or unmarked, because our argument was, what's the difference between a plain Securicore van and a marked Securicore van, or a GS4 marked, or an unmarked van, or an unmarked transportation vehicle putting cash in the bank when we're meant to put the currency in the bank, the river of the current, when they're banking on our money as a creditor, while they're using our fiat system to go and buy stocks and their stuff off the back of our money. Fractional lending, which happened obviously in 1920s, 1930s, when the Titanic, when they were trying to kill all the people then, because that's when they were trying to bring their New World Order little plans then. All these little plans that fall down when really, I just think from a sovereign perspective, from our country, it should be protected. But the liberation of right is for everybody to have the right to their own free will, the right to their faith, their religion. And I've collared people quite a lot of times, even in professional capacity within the police and even NHS or in anything, when somebody discriminates me because of my faith or because of what I'm wearing, because of assumptions and judgments from a personal perspective that they're not allowed to do. But that's why nothing is backed by gold anymore and fiat. And with crypto, I've dabbled in it over the last few years, but I've made a friend online and she was teaching me some earlier this year. But I thought very time consuming, the gas, the energy, the time in Bitcoin is a very, what's the word? In the fluctuating market, it's volatile, where it's still cash is king. But what we have to remember, everybody, and this is one of the personal empowerments, if I can remind anybody here, that's any of you, you are the asset. And even because I knew this years ago, I've stood in front of judges and they've said that to me. We understand that this is happening to you because you know you're an asset. Because the government, the corporation, has our names tied as beneficiary to extract money out of. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it in fines and levies and taxation. But they shouldn't be, in international law, technically they shouldn't be using anybody's money to be killing people and at war with anybody else. It's a war crime. And also, when they talk about the Terrorism Act, the government shouldn't be terrorizing people. And that's why if I sit down with people, even though I don't try to be impertinent, sometimes people do not like my own sense of assertiveness, because I can execute when I see somebody that's conducting rules as if they're laws and seeing to try and intimidate people with authority, when you can actually protect yourself and your own rights, which we have, Everybody has a right, you know, and that's why more of us women these days, and probably Rosie will compliment with this, and probably even Rosanna will in another year or so, because she's just going through her situation. It's more of us women. We would love to be in relationships, but we don't want to be slaves. And I think this is where people are forgetting the mutuality of life, the mutual relationship, not ownership. Well, the straw man is just a it's like saying it's a second title, because as a human being, I'm not, even though my mum named me Claire, I'm Claire. I'm not that as a human being, am I? I'm not. I'm not as a label a Claire. You know. So the strawman is the fictional person, because person means corporation. Look it up in Black Law's dictionary. I've got a Black Law's dictionary. You can get any edition, anybody. But even if you want to do contracts, law, courts, get a Black Law's dictionary. And one of the questions that I asked somebody in etymology, in meaning of words, is Claire. I like Claire. Right? It's get an Oxford dictionary, get a Cambridge dictionary, or even look up online. Why does one word have three different meanings? Surely one word has one meaning. And that's when you start to understand the rules of commerce and the game and how things are wrote. So when people try to use authority, or I've had it in situations of passive sort of aggressive, but, you know, speaking softly of, oh, we have to do this because it's a law. I play the game and then I stump them with checkmate. So then that person, sometimes, most of the time, that's why I said if I'm in a situation staying calm, a lot of people get angry, because then they're quite surprised with what I can come out with. Urchin, sea monster, how they see it in law. This is why, like with the Mental Health Act, I know it all back to front. I know the system. I've been through it, everybody. Right. So, but that's another story with the akathisia. You're exactly right. Say, for example, you get sectioned, a section of a sentence in the Mental Health Act. So they're acting in an act to say somebody's doing something without evidence. That's the first thing. Then, if you do not complain in writing, everything has to be put in writing. That's why in any war, the power is by the pen. Not by the sword, not by the word, pen. Because once it's documented in black ink, can't get around it. Even online, technically, even though the governments ignore it throughout the platforms, right, and dismiss it. And it's the same with geoengineering, when we were all saying about it 15, 20 years ago, that the government is harming when the law in civil law is not to cause harm and injury to anybody, person to person, corporation to corporation. But yeah, if you do not, in essence, peaceful protest by your right of complaint, even in the Mental Health Act, they see you as an imbecile. That's how they get you into the convincing of take these drugs or else. And I've actually, in my situation, I've had somebody grassing me over the last few years. So what I've done is I've just documented the journey, and every single time I've just asked them, can you evidence something, or is it hearsay? Because my family's not backing you up. I'm not backing you up. I says, and every single time you're not coming up with anything to say that I'm doing something. I says, and people cannot be judging my way of life, how I dress, don't dress, whether I want to be clean, unclean. I says, so I challenged them, and I've challenged the NHS. This is why I've got a big major claim. If I could afford it, everybody, I would be suing the NHS for the akathisia, because they poisoned me, and technically a corporation that's meant to be looking after its asset, its person, you know, for the currency, it didn't. It trafficked my name, harmed me technically, and in civil law, this is where we've got the disagreement. I've had people years ago and come for meditation to the retreat, or literally just they wanted advice. I've had people literally sit there and put the world to rights afterwards. You know, some people have cried, some people have, you know, been running around like big children on my site, but I suppose I have that sense of making people feel at ease in my company. So, and I've actually challenged mental health over the last few years. One, to prove that mental health is real because psychiatrists made it up in the books. Two, they can't get inside the mind, so how can they profess something that they know when they've convinced people, like I said even 30 years ago, depression drugs, antidepressants make people more sick. They can't say, my friend started working in pharmaceuticals, and some of the spiel that I've heard them all come out with, and even doctors that are trained in it, is that, oh, your neurons aren't firing, or, things aren't working properly. So I ask them to evidence and prove it, not by hearsay, not by subject of what they've been taught, because I said to them, so in anything in life, that's why I always have a standing joke of I know nothing. Why? I'm 50 years of age, and even when I get to 18, then I will be an imbecile, because obviously our brain degenerates when we're older. Back to being a baby again. Is how can anybody say in their life that they know everything? And how does anybody say that they know more than God when God created you? And that's why a lot of this political, religious war is going off at the moment. But if more and more people just stood, like I said, I've done the protests years and years and years ago. I don't now. My power of protest is by the pen, by the law. And if I have to deal with somebody, whether it's in commerce, whether it's in business or personal, I can act accordingly, knowing what I can to protect myself. And I've done it. I've advocated for other people. I've done it in mental health quarters. I got locked up earlier this year because my neighbour, they came charging at my door. 8 coppers, psychiatrists, ambulance workers, all for me. And I just said to them, where's the warrant? Where's the warrant in wet ink? And she kept doing, and I said, no. I said, you're breaking the law. And they all had a big major disciplinary in Sheffield because I said, my family rang and wrote to the Mental Health Act and said, can you confirm that Mental Health Act or any act in statute is not a law, it's a rule? And they said, you're right. I said, so which rule are we breaking? Evidently, because how can somebody see through the walls in my flat? I says, when I've got a malicious neighbour, you're taking it off the back of them. And I says, and also the nurses that I know, because I'm known in Sheffield now, have all confirmed to you that I don't technically have a mental health diagnosis. I do, it's hard in wording in that over the last few years, because I've sat in mental health, I truly do know when I've met people that have been absolutely brilliant schizophrenics, absolutely brilliant. They're truthful, they'll tell you things, but yeah, they've got the little ways about them. I just think a lot of them are dimensionally dialed differently. And as a therapist, I got asked to train as a nurse. That's what they asked me to do, train in mental health. And I said, my healing capacity, because I've sat with people, and whether they've been screaming and shouting or they've been in a very bad place, if they're open to the change, then they've walked out of hospital or they've walked into situations. That's why, even with me, they can't detain me for very long within a sexual act, because they haven't actually had any evidence. And every single time they've either had to criticise me for being a Muslim, how I've dressed, whether I've wore a hijab, all right. Oh, the psychiatry is the one of the things that, because of the akathisia, and I've spoken to solicitors about it, and because they were using a lot of it, Rosie, a lot of us women, because we've been anti-5G, with neural networks and V2K, to do with all this major agenda, it was a silencing weapon. Try and lock people up. It's a bit like now, let's go and attack the children, and let's go and attack. They have an agenda. The higher ups and the government sift it through to the police corporations to make money. You might as well say they've turned into ticket officers. That a lot of them don't actually know the law. So in every incident, believe it or not, everybody, the police has been right as rain with me. It's been impertinent, snotty psychiatrists. Whereas I've actually met 2 major psychiatrists that have been the backing of me, that 1, they agree I'm not mentally unwell. 2, they've all broken the law. And 3, they've used my case of akathisia as a training model, because I said to them, I actually sat down with one psychiatrist who was really nice. She was actually bullying all the men. They were screaming around the ward, men, going, Claire, help us! We don't want to speak to this woman. She's horrible. So I sat down with her. I taped it, which she wasn't too happy about. And I said, well, you're taping in a building, whether you're private, but public building, you know, they finally admitted it, you know, this is a private building. And I said, okay, well, civil if you don't like it. You're filming me. The law's equal. I'm filming you. And I asked her the question, I says, in your liability as a doctor and your insurance, are you indemnified for the harm and injury that you may cause from your recommendation referrals or asserting coercive behaviour within the Coercion Act that you're not allowed to do? And if that drug harms or injures somebody, are you liable for that harm or injury or death that's occurred, murder? And she was snotty. She said, "Don't come, yeah, I am. I know. I'll take the blame if I hurt and injure someone." And I said, well, at least I've got it. And she walked out of the meeting. She couldn't handle it. I mean, 10 minutes, I'm finishing this meeting. And I says, yeah, because I've got you to accept the liability. I says, so when you go to do something to me and cause harm to my body as an asset of God, I can then hold you personally liable. And that's what you have to do, person to person, person to person. So in a fight, gangs or people that want to bully, you know, or people that want to paint people as a bad picture normally will come in a gang. Whereas, trust me, as an independent woman, I've stood in the streets of protesters. I've stood in front of people, whether they think they're authority, they think they're a billionaire, they think they're a millionaire, or they think they're all it. I've still stood there within my own right as a woman, knowing myself and being able to defend my rights. Each to their own, Ian. Truly, when it comes to the religion, as a Sufi myself, I'm a Sufi mystic, and because I've been a Catholic, none of my family are religious. None of my family are religion, but no one tries to change me, if you know what I mean. Because I will talk about God probably about 50 times a day. It's natural for me to like. I don't go, oh my God, because it's disrespectful. You know, oh my gosh, not oh my God. You know, oh my God, if I was praying or in distress or in a really, you know, difficult situation. But I genuinely, it's just normal. And what I've found over the years is that I used to moderate myself for unbelievers or people in situations, and I thought I'm not being my true, authentic self. So I am now. I've done it with people that do, you know. I was speaking to a woman earlier this year. She was big on conspiracies, and as soon as she got to know me, she was talking in front of a very young woman, and I could see this young woman perplexed and bamboozled, thinking, I don't want to hear all that. You know, she was going on about the Rothschilds, she was going on about this, going on about that, going on about this. And I just said to her politely, I says, look, this young lady doesn't want her head filling with shit. I says, even though it's the truth. And then she was like, oh, it's great, I can talk to you then, you understand. So for about an hour, she was boosting me up of, oh, Claire's great in this. And as soon as I came out with, oh, and by the way, I'm a Sufi mystic. Oh, I don't know you then. Oh, I don't like you. I'm a Christian. I went, okay then. You know? And I find that type of behavior very bigoted. Faith is just faith. You know, religion, like anything, like any sect, is a dogma. But as I said, without my faith, I could have easily gone way off path, way off track a long, long time ago. The major religions, yeah. But it's because man's had his hand in it. Rather than seeing it from the simplistic point of view, there is God, there is a creator. You can't say that the universe and earth and the sun and moon are here just by chance. Or what did a microbe just go, Big Bang, oh here, life. There has to be some form of intelligence, a creator to create creation. Just logic, it's common sense. But what people have done, it's the same in law now. People have opinions in their own, as far as I'm concerned, as I say, it's not religion's fault. It's just bad human beings' fault. And if I really want to be person, yeah, I don't like to use the name person very much anymore because I understand person means corpse, corporation, dead person. So when you go in court, you say, I'm the beneficiary, I'm the human representing as a beneficiary that name, that title. Hello, John. Do I look like a sir? Sir? I could be a madam if you want. You know what I mean? We are co-creators because God gave us the ability to co-create life. That's how we're a co-creator, because we're co-creating life. It's just logic, and I think most people are in their own psychosis, because psychosis, technically, the word in definition means your own imagination. So a lot of people mistake psychosis. It means your own imagination. A lot of people are running life by opinion, by their own psychosis. Oh, you don't like aggressive women? Well, you might be on the wrong page, Sir John. You know what I mean? I'm an assertive woman, and if I wanted to be aggressive, then I could be. But could I just suggest this to you, Sir John? Could you please evidence the aggression in some form? How would you actually evidence on video now? Not just opinion here, because that's opinion. I'm suggesting to you, in your attitude, that we'll have this little debate if you want. I don't think you will, John. But if you do get rude, I will be blocking you. So we will be ready for that little tempo to turn up a little bit. All right. Do you want to join in the conversation? I just want to have a quick look at your photo. Oh, John says, but he's a single mother. Oh. We're waiting to just, if you get to the discrimination point and sort of bully chat, I'll block you. Not because I want to, because I really like to have open discussions with people. You know, I can fight in the playground. I don't like to, but I can. All right. So detaining is just a currency word of when they're going to detain, it's, oh, we're going to try and traffic, we're going to try a way of obtaining money, and you wouldn't be able to because you said you're a mother with the man's photo. I'm telling you as a clairvoyant, you're a fake account. We will, John, we'll continue. So we'll just, hopefully, if John wants to vacate the situation, obviously if he does want to continue, tally-ho, I'll get me rope and we'll just reel you in. And then if I have to, I'll chuck you back out. I don't like to exclude people. You know, I am all inclusive. You know, it doesn't matter to me whether you know what you do in your own life, to be honest. So thank you, Ian. If you're going, peace and blessings to you. And what were you just saying to continue? So yeah. John, sir, that's very assumptive. How can you tell? How can you tell? How could you tell before? How could you actually evidence aggression? And then how can you tell I am or not a Charlie Kirk fan? This should be interesting. It's a good psychological lesson. We learn real time. I will, Ian. I'm just I'm all right. You know, to say that I've gone through some very difficult situations, I'm all right. So, but thank you. By all means, come back if you want to join in the conversation. As I said, my live streams are normally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The odd time I come out Sunday, and any other time is a bonus. Because I like to have my stillness and peace and meditate and, you know, go and I'm in my own dream world, in my own fantasy. Well, John, could you evidence then that? Because my attitude is, you know, Satnam, it's my truest form. So if you don't like assertive females for any other reason, you know, and if you want to say I'm aggressive, great, you won't want to fuck around. But, you know, in regards of your conversation, yeah, you wouldn't know whether I am or not. Into the discussion, I can tell you that my theory, it's not evidence, but, you know, having seen lots of these Contel psychological operations, inside job, still alive, the bullet didn't hit, you know, student, youth, cameras, CCTV, satellites, political person in the agenda, sparking the debate. Still alive. All a hoax. The Masons as well, the Freemasons. But I took 24 hours. I didn't think about it straight away. I felt in my heart, and my intuition tells me that, it was a political agenda created. And yeah, they can pretend to kill people off when they're still alive or walking around in their private lives, and they've done the job. It's a bit like Tommy Robinson, political person, got locked up, got paid out, but paid by his masters. But I haven't said anything personal about Charlie Kirk though, so nope, I don't. Thou shalt not kill. Those are the commandments that every faith, every religion, every human being that civil and common law is based on. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. This is the difference between, in this exercise, we're talking about morals versus rules. So if you've got your morals and you're running by the rules of God, you wouldn't have to ask a question like that, because you've been brought up from your parents and life and school and everything with these laws that God taught. So that type of question you wouldn't be asking. And one for their belief? No. So I'm a live and let live type person myself. Yeah, I was going to say I'm not really into politics. I'm more into economics. But the agendas in this earth, I would say things are not quite always as they seem. Everybody, don't always believe everything that's on the news. Watch the news, but question the question, question the narratives. Casters of words, casters of spells. They're spelling a program on you real time. Do you believe it and go along with it? Or do you question the status quo and the deemed authority for the actual equalness in that we all are as human beings? I watched some of his debates. So I just felt they were interesting. I felt they were thought-provoking. But I did feel they were very politicized by US corporation, US state corporation, because obviously with them, like as any president, they're a director of a corporation. What they do in their term in assets and profit and stuff like that, as a responsibility, if they have people that are killed or murdered or anything like that, this system tries to make money while you're alive and while you're dead and after death these days. So know thyself is what I would say. Yep. That's why I'd be careful with those words I spell. Or as I used to say to people, that Pussycat Doll song, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. So I say to people, sometimes in your prayers, when God answers your prayers, sometimes people refuse the gift that they've got. Say, no, I'm not ready. Yeah, you might be praying for the person to come into your life, say. The person comes in and you go, oh, shit, because you've got your own problems, own things that have gone off. You then deny. That's such is life. So whoever you are hiding behind that account, John, right? But what I would say, to win friends and influence people, the first 30 seconds you didn't influence me very positively. If you'd come in with a total different tone, rather than assumptive of me that I'm aggressive, and I really, to be fair, John, meet me alive, I don't give a shit what people think. But sometimes in psychology, when people come online and are nasty or rude or assumptive in their behaviour, it's a good psychological lesson for us to learn. Yeah. Same as you could be in a relationship and it could be an absolutely liberating, freeing experience of love, or it can actually be the confine, as you said, sentence to your sentence. But everything in life, we've got our free will to decide. But I'm the type of woman as a Sigma female, and have been for well over 20 years of living on my own, a long, long time, even before I was in relationships. I don't adhere to blackmail. I don't adhere to coercion. I don't adhere to mind games. I never have for a long, long, long time. I'll observe you. I will in a face-to-face sitting. I can observe with saying nothing. I can say nothing in the stillness for months if I need to. I can catch you out eventually. Even if you think you've covered your tracks in the bestest lie, I will wait in silence. Because God always gives us the answer. It's just that some of us are awake to our relationship with our very creator, whereas some are not, because you've denied your relationship with your creator. We have the right to remain silent and the right to speak. The beauty is choosing what to say or when to say it and how to say it, and in the tone. And if for you, the other guy, what's his name? Well, his name's not that, by the way, everybody. As a psychic, I'm just telling you, it's someone hiding behind that account, right? Whether it's a detractor, one, or a scammer, yeah. That's why I said many men want a strong, assertive woman. You wouldn't be able to cope with a strong, assertive woman because we've seen the game. We don't play it. We've seen the game before anybody starts. So I'm genuinely saying this from my moral perspective. I don't have to justify myself anymore in life, because I don't have to validate myself, because I'm authentic. It doesn't matter whether I walk in a mental health ward or I walk into a cop shop, whether I walk in the streets or I walk into a public house, or whether I walk into someone's home and take my shoes off and polite. I'm always the same. I'm never any different. But the difference is I watch how people treat me first. And doesn't mean that I will treat you the same or come down to your level. I will deal with you equally within the law and my permitted boundary that I can go to without breaking the law or breaking a rule. And that's why sometimes governments, corporations, persons, when I think something's not justice, when it's not just and fair and equal, is when invariably I will choose whether I want to say something. So, yeah, you're right. I'm very silent type. To whoever you are behind the account, I can do silence for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, however long you want to take. In silent meditation, I've done them for weeks and months at a time without saying a word. And I choose to sometimes until I'm ready to deal with something. But I've realised over the years, it's not holding back either, and procrastinating is not good. Right? If I feel in my intuitive spirit and in my heart to do something, even if other people don't understand, in my heart, if it's coming from a loving place to look after and protect somebody, because that's where I come from. I'm not on the frequency of hate and venge and, doing shit to people. I let karma dish its shit back to you if people do that to themselves or other people. So to that person that was behind that account, in that first 30 seconds, you didn't influence me very, very positively. And even if people do try to influence me positively by flattery, we're not brought into that flattery either with lump bombing, because we're just so authentic that, we sing songs, we do swear, we are who we are. In business, I'm the same. But I have been brought up with manners and respect. I can follow rules. I just choose to question people that may set these rules that are not following them themselves. And that's why I don't like live in a mirror reality, but sometimes I get the mirror and show people the mirror reflection in their own hypocrisy. Yeah. As I say, there's one side hate, the other side is love. Make a choice. You can choose, can't you? Same as we can choose to be the same, or we can choose to change. If I wanted to in the last few years, say, go and do something completely different, I could have done. I could have chose a total different path in the last 12 months. But as a Sigma independent, empowered woman, I make my own decisions and choices in life, and actively make new choices every single day. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done half of the things that I've done in life. And yet to come. What's to come? Rules can be followed blindly and morals require discernment. A rule might tell you not to steal, as the moral asks, is this action aligned with compassion, with respect for another's dignity? Sometimes rules protect the weak. Other times they shackle freedom. Morals can transcend rules, and think of those who broke unjust laws in the name of human rights, guided by something higher than the written codes. The dance between them is where the real work lies. Too much reliance on rules and you lose your humanity, as I said. Too much reliance on personal morals without accountability and you risk self-righteous chaos. The balance is a stoic one, living by your internal virtue and navigating the external rules wisely, knowing when to obey, when to bend, and when to stand against them. You're welcome, Ian. Same as I did in lockdown. As soon as it came, I just got my medical book out, which I knew anyway. But, you know, I knew that viruses were an internal thing. We can't catch anything, you know. And I just decided that the corporation was not going to have authority to lock down, prison term, word sentence in spelling, to lock us down in our houses, which was illegal. So I decided to go out and play hokey cokey and have fun on the land as a free woman and do what I could within the commitment of where they'd stopped commerce, where we could go. So freeing in nature, parks, you know, did get stalked by the police quite a lot in lockdown, quite a few of us when we met in parks and places like that. But, you know, that's why it got that psychological war that the corporation done was a very individual one in many sense, because they brought the war right into your home. People believing, you know, in all sorts of shit that they were telling you, which we won't go into any more detail in this video, but you know, we could do if you want to open the discussion. That was crazy few years, crazy. I even got the nurses to validate their own hypocrisy and question it. I've done that. I've gone into court and gone, no, I'm not signing that contract. Hello, the Carries. Good afternoon, my lovely. Peace and blessings to you. We're in our mid-flow of our topic and discussion, so you might get it. We're sort of we tweeter off between conversation and topic. I'm good. I've been updating everybody. I'm restarting doing my massage therapy out and about rather than just at home. So, which I've been looking after exclusive people really, or just friends and family at home. But I'm restarting my massage healing practice in the city and at Hillsborough. So by next week or the week after, I'm hoping it's going to be next week, everything's in print, everything's in order, everything is in transition, ready for 3, 2, 1 countdown. Because existing clients and new ones, people do once they get to know me and find me, then they come and have a treatment, and some people then, you know, come and have another one and another one and another one. So, what have you been doing? Looking after yourself? Have you moved your boxes? Have you moved all your boxes? So I'm seeing corners of boxes. I'm seeing some things that need resolving in those boxes. Corners. So keep shoes on. The dance between them is where the real work lies. Too much reliance on rules and you lose your humanity, as I said. So if you're new to my page, or you're joining in, or you want to be in the Soul Tribe, you know, some people have got gangs, some people have got tribes, some people have got cults, some people have got sects. I've just got the way. The way is authentically being oneself. Peace, love, and happiness. Joy, peace, and harmony. As a Sufi mystic, I'll guide you through your own shadows into light to accept and embrace your shadow self. Once you integrate your shadow self, like that person there when they came in and said I was aggressive, even if someone said I was hateful, if I was this or this, yeah, I am. Nobody's got nowhere to go because people are trying to create and provoke a reaction. And I think if we more do that and accept our shadow self, that's being in total acceptance. Yeah, I can get mad. Yeah, I can get angry. Yeah, I know myself. That's why I know my power. I know my strength. But it doesn't matter to me. Even if people try to use guilt, shame, fear, humiliation, or anything, I can stand in it all. It's just that most of the time I keep myself to my own lane. And as a coach, I'm here for resilience and alignment. Aligning myself, and in this space, we gather a time to sharpen our minds, rewire, and soften our hearts. Too much people out there, you know, of being so hurtful and hateful and stuff. You know, whereas I'm more about stepping into our truest self, onto our truest timeline, and into alignment. Remind you that it's a privilege for me to share my energy, and it's a privilege for you to share yours too. A reminder that respect and compassion go a long way with me, and gratitude and the boundaries of this sacred circle and space. Rules are written in ink, but morals are etched in the soul. So yeah, really a lot about you is, well, if anybody ever really wanted to know about me, you can always ask my friends, you can ask my sons. Rather than me trying to paint the picture on this and that and this and that, I might as well paint the worst negative picture. Go and ask my friends, go and ask my family, go and ask the people that have worked with me, go and ask the people that have seen me go from, nothing to millionaire, back to homeless, to akathisia, survive all that and get yourself back so that you're debt free, which I am. And I do what I want, when I want, how I want. That's how I am in life. But I am very sort of regimented in my boundaries every day, in that if I want to do something, I set my mind to it in a creative or business or personal project, and I'll always finish it off, whatever it is that I've started. Even if it takes me a time and I have to go back to it time and time and time again. Even if I sit there and say, I don't understand it today with menopause. That's what's been the trickiest thing for me, to be fair, everybody, over the last few years, has been the menopause with it all. Is sitting there thinking, I really can't do it. And I'm not a can't type woman. I don't like to use that word can't. There's certain words that I don't like from a conscious perspective. So, exploring the difference between morals and rules. Rules are external codes, laws, traditions, and expectations. See, it's quite funny how people talk about, I don't want to follow a religion, but then you're following laws of a government corporation. There's some hierarchy there. There's some state, there's some, statue of information that we're being regulated by. Morals are internal compass, things like your values, your truth, your conscience. And if you stand by your truth and execute your truth in any fashion, personal, business, and with people in life, that's why most of the time I'm very, very quiet. But if I do need to be outspoken, trust me, I can be. That's why years ago, some of the locals asked me to chair council meetings, court meetings. I've done Mackenzie Friends. I've stood behind people as a silent witness, so that I've been in protests, but not in the protests. I've been in actual specific meetings to find out information, to ask the right questions, so that I'm doing my due diligence, not just for myself, but it might be for a community matter, or like here in Flats last year, I got asked to be chairwoman. I didn't want to be the secretary, the chairwoman, which meant, that I was holding the other members accountable as the chair, within the mutuality of what it was that we were trying to either expose, save, or change, for the effectiveness and the benefit of the residents and the tenants. That's why a lot of people, especially on the internet, and this is what I find in life, is people shouldn't assume and shouldn't try to think that people know people, because you don't. How can you know somebody off the internet? You can't. You've got to walk at the side of somebody, or you've got to experience or witness somebody in action or in their personal life to actually have some form of saying, oh yeah, you're like this or you're like that. And I found over the last few years, when people want to get to know me, sometimes, not all the time, I'll say my long-term friends, a bit like you, Rosie, and other people. There's people that I've got in life, everybody. They've been friends all my life. There's been some of my friends, a long, long time. Some clients have turned as friends. But for me to class you as a friend, it's not an automatic right. It's an element. I'll give you some of my vulnerabilities. I'll give you some of my insecurities. I'll show you my true, authentic self to see if I can trust you as a friend. Because I'll show you my weaknesses, not just my strengths. Because I lean on my weaknesses. I try to improve my weaknesses every single day. And that's part of incorporating that shadow. As Carl Jung says it from a psychological perspective, to embrace the full wholeness of who you are and the completeness is accepting all those aspects of yourself. Our time, our values evolve. They can change. Your values might not be the same as they were years ago. For example, even though I was religious and faithful, years ago I drank. I didn't stop drinking because of faith, believe it or not. I stopped drinking because I knew in my mental health at the time I'm in menopause, I just had a feeling that if I was drinking, that escapism wasn't going to help me long term. It was actually going to either make me morally go and do something that I shouldn't do, that then I would have a regret over. So I made the change from my own health, mentally, emotionally, and physically, because spiritually, as I know, spirit, alcohol, changes you. But I'm the type of character over the years, even when I used to have a drink, I'm just funny. Very, very funny. But I don't like the hangovers. And over the years, even my sons now have got to, even though I study religion myself and they're not religious, they even make decisions as young men now. Oh, we're not going to drink because we've got to study. Oh, we're not going to drink because we're doing rugby. Oh, we're going to not drink for a few months because it's better for our health. Rather than, like most people years ago, especially my own dad was an alcoholic and was always in the clubs and was always in the working men's clubs and was always out doing that type of thing and drinking 20 pints a day. 30, 40 years ago, it was normal for men to just go out swilling the alcohol. Whereas now, I think more masculine men anyway are finding that the body, mind, and the soul, is more beneficial than being hungover for days on end and being in a bad mood and feeling shit. For the sake of having the escapism of the fun in the moment, just get into your authentic fun side, the childlike side. Have fun without the alcohol. The journey is to notice shifts in yourself, shifts in other people, shifts as you walk in the room, shifts in energy, and embody the authentic self. Step into a version of you that is more compassionate, more genuine, and more aligned. In today's session, you'll learn how to distinguish between morals and rules and how to track your progress over time and how you evolve. How to embody the new you with clarity and courage. Grab your journal, grab a pen, and here are your journal cue questions. Or you can just ask yourself this or vision it as I'm going along. What rules in your life you follow because you must. What morals you live by because you believe. Which values have you changed for you in the last 5 years? And who is the new you are becoming? Describe them in detail. So say if you're doing a mood board, or what I call mood board, cosmic ordering, or people call manifesting. You're manifesting the new you. So you're visioning, you want to be size 10 and you want to have longer hair, and you've painted a picture. You can then get pictures, mood board, whether it be social media or like years ago we used to use catalogs and magazines, and you can actually vision the new you. And then once you start to embody it every single day, practice, 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 any yogi knows 30 days, after 45 days, it becomes cemented. So whether it's yogic breath, yogic herbs, or doing the actual art of yoga and the moves, you're moving yourself through. If you then ignore it for one day, you've got to go back to the beginning, a bit like snake and ladders, and do it again, until it becomes totally ingrained that you are embodying your true authentic self. As I said, rules are scaffolding. They keep crowds from chaos. They do work to a degree, but then when people say, oh, I'm going to just break the rules, or a government breaks its rules, or a corporation breaks its rules, it's the same with, people in this world not paying taxes. If they're not doing it, why should we do it? And that's where rules break down. Whereas, as I say to people, God didn't have rules and commands prior to the incident with Moses and the Exodus. But maybe our Creator felt that he had to send down rules because people in their own imagination, limited life, believed that they knew it all and they knew what life was about, and then preaching to everybody else and sending people down wrong paths. I hope that when I listen to people, whether it's preachers, teachers, coaches, or therapists, they're in essence, they're meant to guide you on the path of your own righteous empowerment, and so that you have the tools and the keys inside you to be able to enact that. Morals, however, are the architecture of your inner temple, and that's what the temple is. Solomon's temple, when they built the temple was built on the cubics of the body as well. They measured out parts of the body onto the earth to make these buildings, but they were also a part of ritual teachings as well. The architecture of your inner temple, the Egyptians, most religions and faiths all talk about the temple. Jesus talked about the temple. However, when you read scripture properly from a spiritual perspective and actually go deeper into it, whether it's the Torah, the Bible, or the Quran, you actually start to see things totally, totally different. That it's more going on about the inner journey, the inner work, the inner path to your own spiritual enlightenment. And what you have to think is that prophets, technically, God gave them their discernment. He gave them that spiritual enlightenment, because he changed their life, because he saw something in them. They may have, like Moses before, he'd hurt and killed somebody, but he still made him a prophet because he made him go and do a task and a duty in front of the people that he didn't think he was going to be able to do as a mere mortal with no sense of authority. It's a bit like Joseph in the story where all the women were trying it on with him, and that the rich man's wife was grabbing at his shirt, and she denied that she'd been lusting at him and wanted to take him to bed, right? And he thought, how can I deal with something when he's just a layperson, a common person, technically? We're all common. We're all commoners on this land. We have a common, we're meant to have common values, common goals, these commands that we're meant to follow. God gave us a command. Government created rules from those commands that are within civil and common law. However, as I said, your inner temple is built on conscience and your consciousness. Your conscience is usually, it's like your compass, from your wrong and right. Should I lie? Your conscience will normally, if you've got high morals, oh no, I shouldn't lie. So it'll just tell you, oh no, you shouldn't steal. That's your conscience. If you haven't got a conscience, it's like some people aren't, they'll just say to you, oh, it is okay to kill in these situations. Oh, well, we'll break the rule in this situation. Yeah. No, that one Lot, wasn't it? Was it Lot or Job with his stick? They're saying that Solomon, obviously, because they've got the emerald tablets, Thoth, and they do think that Merlin was Solomon, King Solomon, because obviously King Solomon was the one that was able to control the jinn, wasn't he? Or was that Job or was that Lot? I have to remember off the top of my head. I'm getting a bit like, hey, stories merging. I'll remember. I'll have a look later. So, as I said, your own conscience and your own consciousness. Empathy, virtue are silent whispers of your own heart. They ask, what is right and what is true to me and what honours life? As we mature, we realise our values are not fixed. Childhood rules may fade, teenage morals may shift, adult desires may dissolve, and each season of life rearranges the hierarchy of what matters to you in your own life. This evolution is not betrayal, it's becoming you, it's becoming the true you. To embody your authentic self means to shed the outdated skins of values that no longer fit and say, yeah, once I wanted power. Yeah, it might be, yeah, I once wanted money. Yeah, once I wanted all these things, but now I value peace. Now I value simple life, say, for example. Once I sought applause. Once I sought validation. Now I seek presence. Once I feared standing alone. Now I stand firmly alone in the truth. The journey is not about perfect morality or blind obedience to rules. Instead, it's about having a conscious discernment, knowing that what rules serve you, which to question and which to break. It is about refining your moral compass until point steadily towards compassion, sincerity, and alignment of your truest self. So, all right, family, sit with this. Rules, they're external. They're written, enforced, and often rigid. They're like road signs of a highway, useful, but they don't tell you where and why you're travelling. Morals, however, they are internal. They are the quiet voice inside you when nobody is watching. They're not written in books, they're written in your being. So, say if you grew up in a household where your parents didn't have high morals, you know, they're always lying, arguing, shouting, or someone's going out stealing, you might grow up thinking that's normal. Or in your own morals as a child, you might have a conscience inside you. You go, no, like I did with my mentors. I welcomed the experience, but as a child, I thought, no, this isn't how we're meant to be treating people. No, when I started seeing violence and bullying and hatred, and even in the playground and even in workplaces and stuff like that, I know it's not normal. So what most people would gossip about, I won't. I will stem and stop it through either silence or standing for myself in my own moral judgment, because within inside, you know, the compass and map, I don't need to ask somebody like somebody then, do you believe it's right to kill somebody or not? Thou shalt not kill. It's a command. It's not, but in some situations, the only difference is if you were left in a situation, and it says this, whether it's in the Torah, the Bible, or Quran, and even with the governments, or we technically, person to person, we have the right to defend ourselves if you're being harmed, injured, or potentially killed. That's where you're in a position where, you know, you don't go to attack, it's defense. I leave the attacking to most people with limited consciousness, to be fair. You're not meant to stay where you were 10 years ago. Think about it. If we were, we would be staying where we were 10 years ago, in our consciousness, in our beliefs, and in those rules. Think about it. What you once wanted, you may not want anymore. What you once liked, maybe it doesn't fit you now. That's growth. That's wisdom. That's when you decide to keep on moving forward. The question I want to ask you today is, who is the new you that you are becoming? What values are you ready to embody? And write it down for yourself and feel it in your vision, this new you, and that you're in the total acceptance that your subconscious will reprogram and rewire and reframe your mind day by day, thought by thought, in every word, action, and deed that you do. The law is stone. It was written on stone, but the heart is a flame, firing. One holds the body, the other names the soul. When the stone cracks, let the fire lead you home. I honour my inner compass above external noise. My values evolve and I grow with them. I embody compassion, truth, and authenticity. I release what no longer serves and I step into who I am becoming. If you want to, in this moment in time, close your eyes. Imagine the old you. Okay, we can all do that by going in the memory banks of the rearview mirror. Like a coat, you can remove that coat and place it on a hook. Thank it for its service. Thank the past for the service that got you and step forward into wearing the new garment of your authentic self. You can wear that cloak. Remember when I said to you a couple of weeks ago, this cloak can be a cloak of protection, a cloak of guarding. You could even have a cloak of darkness. But this garment that you're wearing at the moment is your new authentic self. This authentic self is lighter, brighter, freer, more aligned, and breathing your new skin into you. As we know, the 7-year itch is when your cells, everything renews itself in the body every 7 years. Wonder where the 7-year itch comes from. This is who I am becoming. You can then list it if you want, or list it in your mind who you're becoming. You might want to be more softer, you might want to be more patient, you might want to be more compassionate. Whatever that thing is, write it down and how you're going to embody it. Sit quietly within this space and place your hands on your heart and ask yourself, what value do I hold most strongly today? And listen to the first word or image that arises. Then imagine that value as a colour glowing in your chest. See it expand now and take the scenario in your life, maybe a decision or a relationship. Place within it that colour within that moral glow. Does it feel aligned or out of place for you? Why this works in psychology and psychic awareness. This exercise blends intuition and moral reasoning. Psychologically, it builds self-awareness and decision clarity. Spiritually, it teaches you to tune into your heart's resonance, not just the mind's chatter. Practice daily, it sharpens your inner discernment, the inner discernment to know right from wrong, the inner discernment to make decisions and choices, to act intuitively on your instinct if need be. The psychic sense is what we all have, but it's a psychic sense of alignment. That's why when we say alignment, we're in the flow. You know, we're just flowing along in life. And when we feel aligned, I call it buzzing. Hello, peace and blessings. Thank you for joining us even for a few moments. The psychic sense of alignment, answer to it begins when you feel the truth rather than arguing with it. If you do these practices, mindfulness and meditation, and these different exercises every single time and every single day, over time you will feel less confusion, more certainty, and deeper trust in your own compass in life. Let go of the calm and close your eyes and breathe in deeply and hold. Exhale. As you exhale slowly, picture a candle flame in your chest. We love the flaming meditations. This is your moral light, your flaming light. This is with each breath it grows brighter. The rules may surround you like walls, but the light cannot be dimmed by your morals. Inhale clarity, exhale doubt. Inhale clarity, exhale doubt. Inhale clarity, exhale doubt. Inhale truth, exhale fear. Inhale truth, exhale fear. Inhale compassion, exhale judgment. Exhale freedom, exhale judgment. Inhale compassion, exhale judgment. Let the light expand around your heart and throughout your body and into your auric field, into the space. Sit in the stillness, safe, calm and aligned, and reminding yourself that this is your authentic self here and now. Just like I'm being as authentic as I can, as I say, because, you know, some people just, in their own psychosis, don't want to believe that some people are being authentic. Some people want to believe whatever they want to believe. They want to assume what they want to assume. And I can't stop anybody assuming what they want to do, but I don't need to validate myself either anymore. I just remind people that assuming makes an ass out of people. I don't like to use the word you, because I don't like to project onto people. But, you know, I am conscious of my words even when they do trip me up sometimes, and I correct myself subconsciously. I no longer measure my life by rules imposed. I measure my life by the morals I choose. This is a rewiring of the mind and a cognitive shift. When we rewire the mind by the words that we choose to change every single day, our subconscious accepts the new rewiring program that we're placing in. As you go to reframe your mind as well, a perspective pivot, knowing that growth is not losing yourself, it's shedding what was never truly for you. By rewiring the mind, the subconscious mind can take out the old program, can put the new program in, and you're rewiring, installing, and practice within 30 days. Like anything, something could start off hard, something can be weak, you can turn the weakness into the strength. Muscles have memory, brain does too, and you only have to make the cognitive shift that the food is in the soul. We all want to be nourished, we don't want to be perished, if truth be known. We all want love in some way, whether that's self-love and giving love to others. Your authentic self is not found, it's forged. Again and again in the fires of evolving values from the experiences that you can draw upon. That's why they say with any catastrophic event, situation or circumstance can either make you or break you. And that's part of the healing journey. I think is accepting in the healing that if you can embody the shadow and go through it and feel it all, not try to remove it, not try to run away from it, you know, not any of those things, but just go through with it, you'll find then that your values will evolve and you'll become stronger as a result. Rules are ink, morals are flame. Evolve your values, embody your truth. Authenticity is not forged. Authenticity is forged, not found. I always have to read sometimes my mantras or my affirmations, as you call them. Your compass is within. So I hope that has enlightened some today. So as we close our circle and our circle of faith and truth today, remember that rules can be broken. You can break your own rules, can't you? You make your own rules and then break them. Rewritten, replaced. But your morals, your values, they're alive. They evolve, you evolve. Who is the new you that you are becoming? Which is the question I asked halfway through. So again, who is the new you that you are becoming? Share it, speak it, write it, claim it, walk it, talk it until it feels embodiment with yourself. What I will say to everybody is thank you for walking the path with me. Thank you for liking my posts, sharing my posts, and those people that are contributing, you know, to my page and my channel. I appreciate you. It is an honor to work with people personally and professionally in life. And it is an honor those that have walked the tragic path that I've gone through in the last 3 years to see me turn something so tragic into something so beautiful where I blossom these days. And I don't dim my light for anybody. I just stand. It's not about standing my ground. It's not just doing anything. It's just being myself. You know, if I want to be feisty, I'm feisty. If I want to be sarcastic, I'm sarcastic. But the difference with me is I don't intentionally go out to hurt people. I don't have to go and tell people my own strength. what I always say to people is, don't ever test me, because then you will find out yourself. And most people will laugh, joke or jibe until they test me, and then they'll see this spiritual warrior. Spiritually, the power of my thoughts and my heart and my pen, I share it with love and wisdom. However, I do turn anything that is negative into something positive. Thank you for walking this path, and I hope every session you feel clearer, deeper and stronger each time. I finished today. Hey. So thank you very much for the love and support, and I really will say that. I do appreciate you. And even to the people that are negative that come in, I appreciate the lessons that you teach me, because every single time, it's like I don't shy away from adverse negative situations. Why? I don't go to find it. I don't go to get at it. I'm not any of that. But if it presents itself to me, I use it as an experience every single day to learn. Yeah, I did it a few years ago. I was out in the city, and they were all protesting out the bank for the Royal. And I was saying to them, well, you have to use the bank. And then they were fly posting. And I just happened to get stuck in between this crowd of them. I wasn't really meant to be there. I was doing my own thing. However, they all started arguing and shouting at me. I was taking it for a good 15 minutes, all this shouting. And I says, are you ready for my point of view? And I said, we all live in the same country. I said, we all got occupied by the Vikings, the Romans and this. So everybody's saying, I'm from Wales, or I'm from... I says, we're all a bit of a mixture, Heinz 69 ketchup, like. I says, why are we being so bigoted? And I've just, like I've said to people, there's certain rules there is, but you break your own rules. Whereas with me now, I don't try to justify myself to anybody, but as I've said to a few people, well, how can you say that I'm not doing something when I follow the laws of God, and you're following your rules of opinion? Big difference. And I think if most people took their opinions out of it, and the opinions out of gossip, and the opinions out of what they think a rule is, I think this world would be a lot better place, more peaceful. That would be a fact. So I will go back to my Zen worship of mindfulness in the moment, mindfulness in the meditation. And yeah, we'll see what happens, Rosie, because if I can get them eventually, the programmers, to organise it and program it so that one person can just see females, because there's just no system out there. So it's like actually asking the programmers to program it in the back. But I do believe that, maybe save a bit of money, because that's what I'm going to try and do soon, maybe after Christmas. But I'll have a look at some spiritual retreats, ashrams, whether it's England or abroad, like I said, for something that we'd probably all like to go on if we can find a bargain as well. Something that's nice, that might encompass, a few activities for us. So, peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think I'm going to go and chill out, relax, unwind, and do some crochet. Till next time, till tomorrow, next topic. Tomorrow is knowing the dark side. Take care. Sandy love, Reiki vibes, healing time.